Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Pensacola, Florida for the penultimate round of the United Sim Racing Snowplow Truck Series season. Inside the Inside Sim Racing broadcast booth, I'm Gabriel Wood alongside Brian Macklin. Coming into tonight, 4 drivers are within 20 points of the championship leader, Dan Murray. Brian, with drivers like Tim Matthews, Jamie Walker, and Rhett McBride within striking distance, what kind of mindset does Dan Murray have tonight?
and that's the last thing you want to do is go down there and hit that wall and destroy your truck. Uh, I've done that a time or two as well. It's a very embarrassing moment, but it's something that does happen here, especially with it being a little bit of a darker track. You notice this track is not as well lit as most of your typical short tracks. There is lights here, but it's a fairly dark track for the most part. You see a lot of dark spots through the corners and down the back straightaway, which that presents a completely different challenge too, because it does take some of your ability to set up the corner away because you have a harder time seeing it. So that definitely plays a factor in how these guys approach this racetrack.
Back out front, looks like Jamie Walker's pulled out a 1.2 second lead. Smoke coming off turn 4, at least on my end. Didn't Looks like 33. 33 almost gets it sideways, but saves it. We're 3 wide coming down the front straightaway. Everybody gets clear of him. Gonna have to look back and see what went on there.
Tim Matthews was in a really tight spot going through all that. He's one of your championship contenders, and when the 33 of Aaron Bennett got sideways, he was up on the top of that 3-wide battle and was very close to having contact with a couple of those other drivers, and that could have been detrimental to his championship hopes if he'd gotten caught up in something right there. He really needs to be mindful of this situation. It's only lap 16 of 150. He does not want to put himself in a spot where he's going to get caught up in somebody else's mess. He needs to be very careful and try to work his way through this traffic as carefully and cleanly as possible. Right now, he's back in the 8th position, so he is not having the run that he was looking for, especially when you consider Jamie Walker, Rhett McBride, and Dan Murray are sitting up in the top 3 positions. He's really got a lot of work to do if he's going to catch up to those guys.
Update on that on the little spin we saw there. It looked like 33 just kind of shoved it in just a little bit too deep, overcooked it, and kind of just spun it sideways. Good save on his part. Lead back out front. He's now catching some of the slower lap traffic there. You got the 34 of George Hendricks, the 47 of Donald C. Williams. They're all back there. So he's going to have to deal with them, and it's a question of where these guys will go. Looks like 34 is going to give him the outside. How aggressive are these guys going to be? Because if you go a lap down, there's a chance for a caution. You could save yourself, but, you're just kind of being a nuisance, there if you're up there for too long. So, how much of a battle is too much?
Well, I certainly think if they feel like they can hold off the leader and try to stay on the lead lap, you'll see them do that. But if they don't feel like they have that speed, I think they'll respect the fact that Jamie Walker is racing for a championship, as is Rhett McBride and Dan Murray. And I think you'll see them give them the racing groove. As you see actually right now, the number 47 of Donald Williams does just that. He slides up the racetrack, lets Jamie Walker by. So these guys are being very respectful towards these championship contenders, making sure that they don't do anything to affect the outcome of the championship, which is a very classy thing to see these drivers doing. As you see another one right here, the number, I believe it's 82 of Chris Baines. He just pulls over and lets the leader go. So right now they're showing a lot of respect, and I do appreciate that as a fellow driver. That's something you enjoy seeing when you have that type of companionship and camaraderie on the racetrack, where these guys can respect each other like that.
I was looking at the timesheets right now. Jamie Walker in the 08, he's our leader right now. He was in the middle of lap traffic. The 4 Rhett McBride was basically clear track behind him. He kept gaining time, about a 10th every lap. So even in traffic, that 08 is very fast.
Yeah, he's really rolling the center a lot better than any of the competition. I was scrolling through and looking at some of the other drivers, and he just gets through the center of the corner so much better, and he's able to get back in the gas quicker. He's definitely got a great feel on that truck right now, and that's part of short track racing. Some guys get it and some guys don't, and he certainly has it figured out right now. And I mean, he's just so smooth through the center of the corner, and he's now gaining 2/10 a lap on the second place driver, Rhett McBride. Now Rhett is kind of dealing with some of that lap traffic, but he's still just that much quicker lap in and lap out over these guys. And it looks like he's managing the tires at the same time. I don't really see him overdriving the corner or anything like that. He's just rolling into the corner, letting the truck settle, and then get back in the gas. He's over a 10th faster than everybody behind him. And it looks like we have a caution, our first caution of the evening. The number 82 of Chris Baines is around, and that's down on the back straightaway. It looks like the number 47 of Donald Williams is also down there with him.
Oh yeah, it looks like he, from where I stood, he got arrow loose, at least from my point of view. That 47 just kind of got up. He got up behind him, either, arrow loose or net code there, because he had a sizable gap. It looked like the car just spun around, but, that was very sudden. It almost looks like net code now that I'm looking back at it. So,
Yeah, that was a little bit of the netcode. That's one of the unfortunate things that we have to deal with when it comes to playing on a video game or on a simulation, as so many refer to this as. There is things like that that are out of your control that can cause accidents that didn't necessarily need to happen. But right now, leaders are on pit road. Jamie Walker is down in his pit box getting 4 fresh tires. We have somebody that got out of his pit really quick, Scott Eckrich in the number 70. Not He took 2 tires and is going to try to take a gamble here to see if that pays off for him. But for the rest of them, it was 4 tires and fuel and just business as usual. So this is going to be a very interesting restart now that you have somebody up there on a 2-tire strategy.
And go back to Chris Baines, him getting involved with the 47 net code or not, very unfortunate for him, but both of those guys kept it off the inside wall, so a great piece of driving, getting the car woed down there, especially on the grass. That grass is very slippery when you get down there, so great job by those guys. They don't have to use their reset. They can just come in, take tires, and get back in the race, so great job by them.
Yeah, that was a really impressive job. It's very hard on a track this small to not hit anything and to not get hit by cars going by you. So that was a job well done, not only by those two, but by the guys that were getting by them cleanly. Uh, these little tracks, especially when you have one that's got the walls as close to the racing surface as this one does, when something bad happens, it typically takes a lot of people with them. So for it to be a 2-car incident and nothing more, that was really impressive. Uh, I do want to take a chance to say I do believe Steve Ritter tried to stay out the lead a lap, but it did not look like he accomplished that. He did come in and pit, so he's now going to be at the very back. But Scott Eckrich is out here, and he's on the 2-tire strategy. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
Should be on the 2 to go this time, looking for the lights to go out this time. Yeah, I would expect that, during countless practice laps, he had to go out on 2 tires at some point during the 2 hours of practice before this race. He could have, just to know what the 2 tires will do, or either that or he's just taking a shot in the dark. But either way, the 70 of Scott Eckrich, he is our first driver to take that lead away from the 08. Now, will he be able to lead under green? That is the question, Brian. I expect to see that 08. He has just been so fast. I expect to see, maybe even within half a lap of him getting out front. And expect that lead to be a lot bigger as soon as these guys get past that 70 of Scott. But here we go. We're back racing, and he gets a good jump there on the restart. 2-car length lead from the 70 of Scott Eckrich.
And we have a battle for second place right now. The 4 of Rhett McBride took the opportunity to get to the inside of Jamie Walker, and he's trying to capitalize on this little bit of a strategy call by the number 70 of Scott Eckrich. He's trying to keep Jamie Walker out on that outside line, see if he can't shuffle him back in line here. For the time being, he does. He moves into the second position, and now he sets his sights on the number 70 machine. I'm really surprised the number 70 of Scott Eckrich, he's held on a lot longer than I thought he would. He's not having the drop-off that I thought we'd see him have. He's doing a very good job, but here comes the number 4 of Rhett McBride now to the inside. Scott Eckrich is not going to put up any battle. New leader, Rhett McBride, off turn 2.
Move that 4 truck into the lead. 70 gets put back to second, but that 08, he's going to be looking to get past him and get in second and hopefully go after that 4 Rhett McBride. The 08 dives to the inside. He should have him clear by the time they exit turn 2. Good run from the 70, but he's going to be on the outside of the 5 of Dan Murray. So move that 08 truck of Jamie Walker into second. He's going to set his sights on that 4 Rhett McBride.
Yeah, patience was a virtue for Jamie Walker right there. He had a couple of opportunities where he could have shoved the 70 out of the way as the 70's around through turns 1 and 2. A little bit of contact, no caution as of right now. There was a little bit of contact from the number 24 of Ryan Keese. He was able to get his truck back gathered up, and he's going to keep going, so no caution. But back to what I was just about to say, what just happened right there is what could have happened with Jamie Walker. He had an opportunity where he could have tried to knock the 70 out of the way. He chose not to, and because of that, I think he managed to keep himself from getting into trouble. And now he's starting to reel back in Rhett McBride. He was over a tenth and a half quicker that last time by. It's only going to be a matter of another lap or so before he's going to be beating on the back deck lid of that number 4 truck.
Yeah, question is, how aggressive would that 4 truck be? Because he is racing him for basically the championship as the 08 dives it down to the inside. He gets side by side with the 4 Rhett McBride, so move the 08 truck into the lead. Can he get clear off of turn 2? He cannot, so that 4 truck, he's on the outside, but now he finally lets off going into 3. So move the 08 of Jamie Walker back into the lead after a couple laps. So we're right back where we started. Jamie Walker in the lead, Rhett McBride in second, and Dan Murray in third.
Yeah, I like what Rhett did though on that last restart. He could have decided he was going to let Jamie in because sometimes if a driver knows that somebody is faster than them, they try not to battle him too hard. But he decided he was going to try to take an opportunity here to see if he could hold off Jamie, and obviously he wasn't able to. But when Jamie got to him, he respectfully raced him for about a corner or so and then let him have it. That was a good call though because now Rhett knows just how strong of a truck he's got in comparison to Jamie, and if we have another late restart like that, that could play into his favor because now he knows he can hold him off for a few laps. He's just not going to be able to do it for the long run. But Jamie Walker, man, this has been an impressive drive so far through 43 laps. I mean, I've not seen somebody run that smoothly at this track ever. It's just impressive how strong he is here.
I mean, people talk about hitting your marks, and he's not just hitting them; he is just slamming them because it's just let off, let it get back on it. Just braking. He is just basically a robot right now, just going around this racetrack. That's a good comparison for him because it's just automatic for him.
And back a little bit further in the pack, Tim Matthews is still back in the 6th position, not having the run that he needs. It looks like he's just not happy with that truck at all. I've been kind of keeping an eye on him, and it just really looks like he's struggling from the center off. He's not able to get that run off the corner that you see those guys towards the front of the pack doing. He's just really struggling with that right now, and unless he can get it figured out, I don't see his night getting much better. And this is not good because he came into this 9 points out of the points lead, and he's going to give up, right now he would give up 3 more points. That's going to hurt his chances going into the season finale next week. He does not want to give up any points. He wants to try to close that gap and make it a little bit easier on himself. It's 12 positions on the racetrack, and as you see here tonight, we only have a 13 truck field, so that makes that feat a lot more difficult if he's losing points like that, because that if you have a small field again next week, he's not going to be able to make up as many points even if Dan Murray were to have a bad night and finish last.
Yeah, it's all about just common circumstance because participation is kind of down for this race. It's been up. Seven almost gets loose. He saves it coming off the front straightaway. He hangs on to it. That's 7 of Cody Gibson. Good save by him. That's going to put the 54 on the outside of him. Can he complete the pass on the outside, Brian? Haven't seen that outside lane work at all, basically. That 7, he has got warm tires from sliding it down the straightaway. At some point, if we see guys run that outside lane long enough, or we see the guys on the inside run there long enough, and the bottom of the racetrack gets slippery, will we see that outside come into play?
I really don't think you will. This is a very flat track, and typically on the flatter tracks, you don't see that middle or high groove work very well. If they pinch hard enough, they might be able to make that middle groove work, but I don't think you're going to see it be the preferred groove. I think where you're seeing them run around the bottom, that's going to be the place to be all night long, even after the rubber starts building up. There's just not enough banking up on the higher groove of the track to allow them to be able to get the run they need through the corner and off the corner. It's going to be very tough if they're going to try it. I'm sure you're going to see somebody try it, especially if we have a late race battle for the lead, but I don't see it being successful unless they are pinching the guy on the bottom very, very hard and trying to keep them from getting the run up off the corner. That's the only way you're going to make it work. You're not going to be able to just run up there and do it without really trying to take away something from the guy on the bottom.
Just crossed the 1/4 distance in the race. We're at lap 54 now. 08 to Jamie Walker, the third of the distance. Jamie Walker finally works away around that. That's the 82 of Chris Baines. We saw him get into trouble. He was our first caution, or at least part of it. So Jamie Walker, we've had about 20 laps under green. Some very fast cars getting caught by him. We've seen that Chris Baines, he pulled a decent lap time during practice, only about half a tenth off, or a half a second off. So Jamie Walker's, he has got a good little ride here tonight. And if he loses this race, I don't know how he's going to do it.
Well, I actually was just looking at the lap times, and I don't know if it's because Jamie is not running as hard as he knows he can or not, but Rhett McBride matched his lap time that last time by. They ran almost identical lap times. So, again, I'm not sure if that's Jamie Walker just not running as hard as he can, or if Rhett McBride's starting to figure it out, as he loses about 0.03 of a second right there to Jamie Walker that last time by. So for the time being, Rhett McBride is maintaining that gap. It's going to be very interesting to see. Is Jamie just saving his tires, or has Rhett figured the line out? And actually, Rhett was about a half a tenth quicker that last time by. So right now, it looks like he might have started to figure this thing out. We could have ourselves a little race for the lead here in a handful of laps.
On board the 4, Rhett McBride, that GTR Simulator Toyota Tundra, That truck is very, very fast as he dives it in turn one. He is visibly getting closer. He's got it down to a second flat. So Brian, you're exactly right. Looks like Rhett either the 08 Jamie Walker is kind of saving his stuff, or that 4 he has finally figured it out. And I'd like to bring the 5 of Dan Murray into this. He's kind of caught these guys just a little bit. It was 1.8 last lap, down to 1.7 this lap. So both of these guys are coming.
Something I can say as a driver that a lot of us are guilty of is we do not practice long runs during the practice session that's up. We typically just go out there and try to hot lap and put up as fast of a lap as we can, and we don't really know what the truck is going to do on the long run. And we don't figure it out until we get in the race. And so you see here, Rhett McBride, that first run, he didn't know what the truck was going to do on the long run. He didn't really prepare for that. And once we got that one long green flag run in, he figured out what he needed to do differently. And now it looks like he's altered his driving style or altered the way he's approaching this run, and it's working out in his favor. And the same thing for Dan Murray. Dan Murray was almost 4 seconds behind the race leader when that last caution came out, and he has stayed within 2 seconds on this run. So I definitely think that these guys are starting to figure it out now that they've had time to run a long green flag run. And again, it's something that we're all guilty of as drivers. We just typically don't go out there and run long green flag runs unless we absolutely know for sure we're going to have them during the race. You just don't practice them.
Now we're seeing that lap time tumble now because that gap is pulled to about 1.3 seconds over Rhett McBride. Jamie Walker's pulling that lead out again. A couple laps ago, I saw that the 4, he kind of lost about half a tenth, and he overdrove it going into 4, or coming out of 4, and smacked the wall on the front straightaway. So he's trying to overdrive it, and that leads tumbling back down again. So it's kind of a little rubber band effect. The 08, he gets caught, he realizes, and he kind of pulls back away. And maybe that's a strategy, kind of let that 4 use all its stuff up.
And that's a very good strategy as a race leader to do that. You can maintain the gap, is how I like to say it. If you know you've got a fast truck and you know you can run whatever kind of speed you want to run, don't run any harder than you have to. Just do what you have to do to keep the lead, especially with the tire fall off. If this thing stays green, you're going to see it fall off. They've already fallen off almost a second from where they qualified at, so you can definitely already see that tire starting to give up a lot of grip and a lot of speed on the track. If he does this and he manages this gap, even if he lets it get down to about a half a second, like you said, Rhett McBride is driving really hard. He knows he's catching Jamie right now. He knows that he's closing that gap up, so he's going to continue to drive hard. And when you do that, you're burning the tires off. Jamie, if he's playing this thing right, he's going to let him get close, and then he's probably just going to drive away. I'm not saying that that's the case. Maybe Rhett McBride just has figured it out, but sometimes you will see a leader do that. You see that a lot in the Cup Series too. I know last year I saw Kevin Harvick doing it a lot when he had the race lead. He would only run so hard and let those guys stay close to him, and it was very impressive to see guys like him do that. And you really understand why he ends up winning a championship the way he did, because it's just a very impressive thing to do.
Jamie Walker, fastest truck on the track right now, but right behind him, about 6 1,000s right behind him is Rhett McBride. So these guys matching each other for lap times. The 16 of Steve Ritter gets out of the way, and looks like a teammate to that 4 Rhett McBride. Guys, we got a caution.
Yeah, our second caution on the racetrack, and it looks like it is the number 82 once again. He's around down in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Going to have to see what happened there, see if he had any help. It actually looks like coming off turn 4, he got a little sideways, got up into the wall, tried to save it, and then just looped it around going off into turn 1. That was a wreck that started off turn 4 and ended in the middle of 1 and 2. But he did another great job. He did not hit anything, and he did not get hit by anybody. So very lucky once again for the number 82 machine. And actually, I just was going back and continuing to watch the replay. After the wreck was over, Tim Matthews came in and made contact with the number 82. This was well after the wreck was over, well after the caution had come out. It looked like the 82 was trying to get rolling, and Tim Matthews just had nowhere to go. So huge championship implications for one of our championship contenders. Tim Matthews is going to have a lot of damage to go in and repair.
Yeah, it looks like he was still going way too fast for it being under caution. He was going full speed down the straightaway. Looked like a very avoidable incident from the 54 Tim Matthews.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why he was still running at the pace that he was running. When the caution comes out, you are supposed to slow your pace down and just, I mean, yes, catch up to the pace car, but you don't want to be still going at full speed. You want to slow your pace down. That way, if something like that is happening, you can avoid it. At the same time, I can also say maybe the 82 should have sat there until he knew he had a clearing to get rolling without getting in the way, because he started to let the truck roll down the track, and then he put it in gear and started rolling. And I think that may have confused Tim Matthews just a little bit as well, because it looked like he was just going to let it roll down out of the way, and then he gassed it up and kind of changed what he was doing. So that was a very interesting accident, and hopefully it didn't hurt either of their trucks too badly, and hopefully they can get back out there and still be competitive.
Looks like our leader right now, the 24, Ryan Keese, he took fuel only on that pit stop. The 08 is going to move him down in the second position.
Yeah, and that's going to put Rhett McBride once again in the catbird seat. We saw on the last restart when the number 70, Scott Eckrich, was out there as the race leader. Rhett McBride was able to get to the inside of Jamie Walker and actually take the lead for a handful of laps. Now that it looks like he's got this thing figured out, Gabe, do you think he might actually have a little bit of a better shot at holding off Jamie Walker if he gets ahead of him again? That last run, right as the caution came out, he was really starting to close that gap down. He had closed it down almost a half a second, so he's definitely got the speed figured out in that truck. Can he hold him off if he gets back out in front again?
Yeah, if I was that 4 Rhett McBride, I'd be getting on the horn of that 24 Ryan Keese, say, hey, don't get that good of a jump on the restart. Let me fall in behind you. I want that 08 to stay on the outside as long as possible. Yeah, hey, keep that 5 of Dan Murray out there too, but we're going back racing. That 24 Ryan Keese on no tires, full tank of fuel. He's going to get it back to the green flag. Hasn't gone yet. Green flag in the air, we're underway.
Yeah, and Rhett McBride once again gets to the inside of Jamie Walker. He's going to be able to make the pass for second. Now he's going for the lead. The number 24 actually got a little bit of a run off the corner. That allows Jamie Walker back to the outside. They're 3 wide for the race lead going through turns 3 and 4. Jamie Walker on the outside trying to make it work. He was not able to do it that time. That's going to allow Rhett McBride to get back to the inside of number 24, and he's going to battle for the lead as they come off turn 2, but Ryan Keese gets a good run off the corner, almost able to clear him, and now they go side by side for the front 4 positions once again off turn 4.
Side by side for your top 4 position. 24 Ryan Keese on the outside. We're 3 wide coming out of turn 2. 5 car on the inside. He finally ducks out of it. Thinks better of running 3 wide there, and that's going to leave the 2 front running championship leaders, the 5 of Dan Murray and the 08 of Jamie Walker. Move the 5 of Dan Murray into second, and that 4 Rhett McBride. He's got a good lead with a car that hasn't been out there. Of the 5 of Dan Murray hasn't been that high in the race, so that 08, he's going to have to work his way by that 5 if he wants to get the lead back.
Yeah, and we're on board with the 08 of Jamie Walker now, and this is the first time he's been shuffled back behind 2 trucks that are on equal tires. On the last one, he had a guy on 2 tires, and he sticks the nose in there on Dan Murray. He's going to be very aggressive right there, trying to make that pass. He's going to clear it. I was going to say he's going to have his hands full here, but obviously he didn't. He made that look very easy and moves himself back into the second position. Now he's going to set his sights on Rhett McBride, but again, Rhett McBride looked really strong on that last run, so he might be able to hang on to this thing for a while.
Looking back farther in the pack, 34 of Hendricks hit the wall. George Hendricks hit the wall coming out of turn 2, I believe. But yeah, that 08 of Jamie Walker, move him in the second. That 4 of Rhett McBride. You know, something I noticed, that 24 of Ryan Keese, he was able to hold the outside and defend his position on no new tires against the guys with 4 fresh ones. Brian, is that the way to go? Because these guys, they had to use that entire top lane to get that run, and that 24 was able to hold them off.
Well, I think part of that was also they were being very aggressive. Rhett McBride and Jamie Walker both were being very aggressive. They were driving the trucks a lot harder into the corners than they would have if they were just doing it by themselves. And it caused them to overdrive the corner and make them check up in the middle of the corner more than they needed to. So I think that played in the favor of the 24 for a few laps. But now that he has been shuffled back, you see he's not running as good of a lap times. He's fallen off about 2/10 off those lead guys. And meanwhile, back up front, Jamie Walker has closed in right on the rear deck lid of Rhett McBride. It took him a few laps longer than it did on the last run, but he's there now. He's trying to get a run to the inside, not quite able to do it yet, but Rhett McBride's definitely hanging on a lot longer than he did on the last run.
Closing in on 50 laps to go. When will he take his move? He's going to dive it down to the inside. Dive bomb from the 08 of Jamie Walker. Can he hold on? Will that 4 be able to get... Oh, they're side by side. Both the leaders get taken out. The 08 goes over.
Wow, hard racing for the lead. Rhett McBride got loose off turn 4. He made contact with the 08 of Jamie Walker. Your race leaders take each other out on lap 88. And it ended with the 08 of Jamie Walker on his side in the middle of turns 1 and 2. The banking actually did roll that truck back over, and he's able to get it rolling. You see the replay on your screen now. Hard racing for the lead. These two championship contenders trying to do everything they could to go after it and try to make something going into the season finale race next week. And they end up taking each other out, and now they're both going to have their work cut out for them. I don't think either of the trucks are that hurt, but now they're going to be at the back of the pack, which is going to make it a lot harder trying to get back up through the field.
The only saving grace these guys have, they have one fast repair. Now, did they forget to uncheck it at any point during the race? They've come down pit road twice. You know, iRacing, it's kind of a glitch. If you even barely tap somebody and have the fast repair clicked, it will take it away from you and it will repair your car. So, you know, a little bit of preparation could have gone a long way for the two guys, the 4 Rhett McBride and the 08 of Jamie Walker. And if they didn't, that may have just won Dan Murray this championship.
Well, I was actually just watching, and when both of those trucks pulled into their pit boxes, they did reset with a fresh truck. So, saving grace for both of those drivers. They have clean trucks. They're going to be able to get back out there. The bad news is if something else happens, they don't have that fast repair anymore. And now coming up through the field, they're going to have to pass a lot of trucks that are a lot slower than them, which is going to mean they're going to be in a bad situation. If something happens, they're not going to have anywhere to go, and they won't have that fast repair to save them this time. They're going to have to be on pins and needles, and with 60 laps to go, that's going to make it very hard for them to get back to the front because they can't take the chances that we saw them taking at the front of the pack here just a handful of laps ago. I want to talk about that racing, though. That was some of the most aggressive racing I've seen all night. Rhett McBride didn't give Jamie Walker an inch, but Jamie took everything that he could, and it ended up with them both wrecking off turn 4. They need to be careful about that because if they do that again, it's going to really hand the championship to Dan Murray.
Yeah, speaking of handing the championship, I made that comment wanting him the championship. I think Tim Matthews didn't really like that comment because he is out front now. I don't know what kind of pit strategy he pulled, but that 54, 9 points behind Dan Murray coming in the ninth. So move that 54 into the lead with closing in on 50 laps to go. So Tim Matthews, he's not handing that championship trophy away just yet.
And I just went back and looked, and the pit strategy for Tim Matthews was to not pit at all. He did not come down pit road that last time by, so he's out there on a little bit older tires, and he's going to get a point for leading a lap, which is an advantage to doing what he's done here. And now he's got Dan Murray restarting to his outside. We saw the 24 make it work for a handful of laps. It's going to be interesting. Tim Matthews hasn't had the truck he's needed all night long, so can he do it, or is he going to fall back here?
We will have to wait and see. Pace car is going to pull off this time. Lights are out. Pace car pulls off. 57 laps to go here at Pensacola, Florida. The Tim Matthews gets a good restart. That 33 of Aaron Bennett is going to close out that hole for the 5 of Dan Murray. Move that 33 into second. He's going to go after the lead.
Yeah, and here comes the number 33, Aaron Bennett, trying to get the run. He's not going to do it. Look at Dan Murray. He drives it off into the corner, overdrove the corner by a ton. He's going to lose the 3rd position. He may lose a handful more. He's to the outside. Here comes Jamie Walker. We just talked about him. We have a wreck in the back. The 16 is around. I think he had contact from, I do believe it was the 4 of Rhett McBride. And what an interesting turn of events. We're going to have to go back and watch that. Let me check on that. Yeah, actually, I'm sorry. I saw that wrong. It was a self-spin by the 16. The 4 was right behind him when it happened, but there was no contact. That is my fault. I apologize for that. Yeah, there was a checkup in front of the 16, and Steve Ritter was trying to avoid it and just lost the handle on the truck, and it went around. And Jamie Walker, he drove through the field in just a couple of laps, and it's like, where did he come from? That was impressive.
Yeah, I looked down there on the front straightaway. He came from about the 7th or 8th position, took him 3 wide down the straightaway or close to it, almost hit the wall going into turn 1, hits the apron, uses that apron to turn his car, and just as that caution came out, he was looking to take that 5 of Dan Murray as well.
Yeah, he was a man on a mission in that situation, and he did the opposite of what I was thinking that he would do. I really thought he'd take his time and try not to put himself in a bad spot there, but I guess he's electing to be up on the wheel and try to get to the front as quickly as possible. And if he is at the front and if he doesn't have any issues with like he did with Rhett McBride a handful of laps ago, that's the safest place to be. If he can get back out front and hang on to the lead, and he came up through the field a lot quicker than Rhett McBride did. Rhett McBride is still back in the 5th position where Jamie is up to 2nd, so he's got that cushion there where it's going to take Rhett quite a while to get up to him, which is going to help him get to the lead and get away from everybody.
Well, it looks like the 08 of Jamie Walker has moved up into the 2nd position. That 33 moved him into the lead. And there's that car that caused the caution, the 16 of Steve Ritter. So the 08, it only took him about 10 laps, and 7 of those were under caution for him to get back up front.
Yeah, and that's a championship drive right there. We may look back at this moment and say this is what helped him go on to contend and possibly win the championship. And sometimes that's what you've got to do. You've got to be aggressive and you've got to be up on the wheel. And he did exactly what he needed to do in that situation to get back to the front. I know if I was in his shoes, I probably would have been a little bit more patient with it, but it worked for him, so you can't take anything away from him there. He was able to get back to the front, and now he's only one spot away from getting back to where he's been for pretty much most of the night. Definitely got to say the 08 still the clear-cut favorite for this race, and the lights are off on the pace car, so next time by we're going to go back green and see if we can go at it and have some more fun.
Update on your championship leaders. Dan Murray is running in the 8th position in that 5 truck. Jamie Walker in 2nd. Rhett McBride in the 4 truck, he is the last car in the top 5. And Tim Matthews running right in front of Dan Murray in 7th position. So your leaders are scattered all around this field, but at 33, he is your one and true leader right now. Aaron Bennett looks to get a good restart coming off of here. Front straightaway, he gets a good jump, and that 08, he's going to be left out there, but he's going to pull down to the inside. Good lead for that 33A, Aaron Bennett.
Yeah, it really looks like they have a hard time getting going on that outside line. It seems like the guy in 2nd place spins the tires every single time we have a restart. I just think there's a little bit less grip up there on that higher groove. We've seen it every single time. But for Jamie Walker, he was able to get in line. He's in the 2nd position, and he's got the best truck out here if he takes his time. But he's going to get back up there. But meanwhile, the 33 is actually kind of pulling away a little bit. Kind of an impressive drive right now. He got a little bit of a gap, and the 70 of Scott Eckrich is all over the back bumper of Jamie Walker as they go through turns 1 and 2.
And look right behind him, that 70. He's going for the pass. He's going for the 2nd position. Scott Eckrich goes to the inside. Side by side, the 08 gets spun.
The 08 of Jamie Walker is around the number 70 machine, drove it off into turn 3 and just got a little hot into the corner, slid up into the door of the 08 of Jamie Walker and turned him around. Good news for Jamie Walker. He just did a 360 and he's going to be all right. He didn't hit anything, no damage to the truck. He's just going to need 4 tires and get back going. But unfortunate for him because he's got shuffled all the way back to the back yet again. And it's going to make it very difficult once again for him to get back up there. But we saw how aggressive he was before. We know he can do it again.
All right, as we get filed up here under caution, we're going to re-rack them. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here from Pensacola, USA, here on LSRTV.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family...
We're back here at Five Flag Speedway. We're re-racked up for the restart here. Brian, Rhett McBride, he is your highest championship runner right now. The 08 Jamie Walker sent to the rear of the field again after he got spun off the side of the 70 of Scott Eckridge. 33 Aaron Bennett, though, out in the front for the second time on the restart, so he's going to get another good start. About the same restart as last time, as that 4 doesn't choose to duck down. He's going to ride that outside lane along with the 5 of Dan Murray.
Yeah, that was an interesting decision right there. I really thought he was going to move to the bottom. He does now. He's cleared to the second place. Jamie Walker's back there making moves already. He made it 3 wide for about the 7th position right off the bat. He's trying to get back up to the front as quickly as possible. And we have the 24 up against the wall. No caution for the time being. He saved it. And we're going to keep rolling. But this has been an interesting turn of events. At the beginning of this race, we saw the 08 of Jamie Walker, then Rhett McBride, then Dan Murray. Now we have an entirely different top 3. We almost have an entirely different top 3. We have Aaron Bennett, Rhett McBride, and Tim Matthews. Tim Matthews was struggling early on, and now he's sitting up here running inside the top 3, having a good run. He's actually battling for the 4th position right now with Scott Eckridge. Looks like Scott's going to be able to take that position away from him. That's going to bring Dan Murray along with him. These guys... It's going to be very interesting. I'm curious to see how long it takes Jamie Walker to get back to the front. And for Rhett McBride, does he go up there and try to challenge Aaron Bennett for the lead, or does he just take second place? Because Aaron Bennett's not a championship contender. And actually, Rhett McBride just had some kind of an issue because he's dropping back. He just lost the second position to Scott Eckridge. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm going to have to go back and check it out.
I don't know, but whoever is out front is going to have to skedaddle away because that 08, he's already up inside the top 5, and he is coming. The only people in front of him are the championship leaders and Scott Eckridge and Aaron Bennett. So those guys, they're racing hard, and the past few guys kind of made it easy for him. Here comes the challenge because that 08, he's right on the back bumper of Dan Murray.
And Dan Murray's not making it easy for him. He's not giving him a lot of room. He's trying to cut him off in the middle of the corner. He actually looks like he got on the brakes a little bit more than what Jamie Walker was expecting that last time by and checked him up in the middle of the corner. He is not making it easy at all for Jamie to try to make this pass. And that's what he needs to do as the championship leader. Now that we're inside 50 laps to go, now that we're actually approaching close to 30 laps to go, he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to try to hold Jamie Walker off as long as possible, try to keep him behind him. That's a point. And he hasn't led a lap right now, so actually right now they would be even because Jamie Walker has led a lap, and I believe he's probably led the most laps, so he'd still lose a point to him at this point in time. So he's got to be very aggressive now. He needs to try to get as many positions as he can in these closing laps.
Still no change in the top 5. That 70 of Scott Eckridge, though, he is catching that 33 of Aaron Bennett. He's right on the back bumper. These guys, they're going to start racing side by side. That's going to bring our championship front runners right back into the picture. They're all running 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, and still we see Rhett McBride and Dan Murray both holding Jamie Walker off. This is really impressive because all night long we've seen Jamie just be able to make the moves and make the passes with ease, and now in the closing stages it's not been as easy. He's really having a hard time making anything happen with Dan Murray. I almost think he might have to get aggressive and start using that bumper if he's going to want to get by him because he has not been able to do anything with him, and he's starting to run out of time. The laps are clicking off very quickly. Meanwhile, back at the front, and actually, we're going to go back to this battle for 4th right now. Jamie Walker finally got to the inside of Dan Murray. He's trying to make the pass. Dan's got the run off the corner. They're still side by side going into 3. Off turn 4, Dan Murray was able to, Jamie Walker was able to make the pass. Dan Murray fell back to the 5th position. Jamie Walker up to 4th, and now he's got to try to close in on Rhett McBride. Back at the front, though, Scott Eckridge is closing in on Aaron Bennett. He is trying to make that move and trying to get up to the race lead. He has cut the gap down to a little bit over a car length and a half. He is right on the rear bumper of Aaron Bennett, trying to do everything he can inside the final 30 laps here to try to take this victory home tonight. These guys are having a heck of a battle at the front, but they have to keep their eyes on the mirror. Here comes Jamie Walker back to 4th. He's only about a second and a half back, and he is closing.
As we got this little battle for the lead going, I'd like to give a shout out to one of the league's best sponsors, BNC Lawn and Landscaping Service LLC. If you're in the Frankfort, Delaware area, call Aaron Bennett or Garrett Casel. It's on the racetrack.
Aaron Bennett just got loose off turn 4, and he cost himself the lead. He's going to cost himself a lot more than that. He's back behind Tim Matthews. He's now fighting with the number 22 of Greg Mull. That's going to shuffle him all the way back to at least the 6th position. Huge, he got loose off turn 4, and he had to gather it up. He took it down to the inside wall. That hands the lead over to Scott Eckridge, and that moves Rhett McBride into the 2nd position and Jamie Walker into 3rd. And now the question is, can Rhett McBride or Jamie Walker run down that 70 machine? Can they get to him? Can they take this lead away from him? Right now, Scott Eckridge is a little bit quicker than both of them. He put about a 10th on both those guys, so he's got a strong truck here right now.
Yeah, Scott Eckridge, that's very surprising him. The only time we saw him up front was a little bit of pit strategy, but that 4, it's going to be a game of who gets there first because, well, now that I'm looking at it, that gap is down to, or is back to a 2nd. So, he is pulling away. He's got a very good truck. He's almost a sleeper tonight.
It's amazing how much this race has changed in the course of 130 laps. We look back at the beginning of this race, and it looked like it was Jamie Walker's race to lose. And now with 22 laps to go, it looks like it's Scott Eckridge's race to lose. He has got a very strong truck. He started in the 10th position, did not have a qualifying lap. He chose to start at the rear of the field. And now, as they take 21 laps to go, he is the race leader, and he's the fastest truck on the track. Can he hang on for 20 more laps? Right now, it looks like the answer is yes. He is on rails right now.
Very fast truck. Did not expect that because the only people I've really been paying attention to the first part of the race was that 080 Jamie Walker and Rhett McBride. They've been the class of the field, really, but he's just outshowing them. It's some of the best driving I've seen from him.
What I wonder is maybe this is the case of the track starting to rubber up and the handling on these things are starting to change. You can see a little bit of rubber around the bottom of the track. That will affect the handling on the track or on the trucks, and it will take a little bit of it will make them have to drive the truck a little bit differently, make them have to approach the corners a little bit differently, but it looks like that might be what's going on right now because Scott Eckridge is just really moving right now. He is maintaining a 1-second lead over Rhett McBride. And he's just doing a heck of a job here in the closing laps.
Yeah, something I just found out. This is the first race of the year for the 70 of Scott Eckridge, so he's the class of the field right now with 20 laps to go in a field where he hasn't raced before. So showing some strength here, especially for next season as we move out of the Winter Series and into the full regular season. Great racing from this basically rookie.
Yeah, he's participating in a handful of our other series that LSRTV and LSRTV2 take care of, and we've seen him on multiple different times, and he's always been a front runner. And what a way to debut here at the United Sim Racing. He's doing a great job, and he looks like he's going to have a good shot at taking home his first victory. Of course, he's still got to hang on for 14 more laps. And right now, Rhett McBride actually has closed the gap down. He's gained about 2/10 in the last couple of laps. So Rhett McBride's trying, but then I say that, and Scott Eckridge opens that gap back up by about a 10th. So it's just a cat and mouse game. One guy's faster. The next Rhett McBride is faster. It's from lap to lap. It changes. It's just amazing how strong these guys are all running tonight.
Oh my, Rhett McBride, he caught him by 0.3 of a second. He dived it way down into the corner through 3 and 4, but he lost it coming out of turn 2, and it looks like to gain it again. So he's driving it very aggressively, diving it off into the corners and hoping it sticks, and right now it is.
Yeah, he maintained 0.7 of a second behind Scott Eckridge that time by. Jamie Walker is right there too. He's 1.5 seconds behind him. These guys are trying to close the gap, but they're running out of time. Even at a couple of tenths of a second a lap, they're not going to have enough time. And Rhett McBride actually lost 2/10 right there. They're coming to 10 to go this time by. If you're going to have something for them, you can't be losing ground now. You've got to be gaining, and you've got to be gaining a lot. You're running out of time here, and if a caution comes out, you really don't have much of an opportunity because so many laps are going to get ate up. You really just want this thing to stay green at this point.
10 laps to go, and 10 laps till Scott Eckridge in that 70 Chevy Silverado claims his first win in the United Sim Racing Truck Series. And great racing here, and that 4, he's caught him again, so it's kind of a cat and mouse game right now. It gap goes back to about 0.8 of a second. It's kind of fluctuating here. It's gradually getting smaller, but that time frame of him being able to catch him is gradually getting slower.
Yeah, and they are approaching a little bit of lap traffic. I don't know if they're going to get there before they get to the end of the race, but that could play a factor in this. If they do, they're going to have just a handful of laps to get there. I'm not sure if they're going to catch them, but right now, Rhett McBride's got to try to figure something out. He's got to drive the truck a little bit harder. He's got to get the truck to rotate through the center a little bit more. He's got to do something. He's just running out of laps. He's not gaining. He's maintaining right around 8 to 9 tenths of a second, and that's not going to get the job done. I want to say I'm very surprised that the 08 of Jamie Walker didn't get back up here and just blow everybody's doors off. He had such a fast truck at the beginning of this race, and now he's just stuck back there in the 3rd position. This is a very surprising end to this race for him, for me. I did not expect to see this at all.
5 laps to go at the line, and back to that 08 of Jamie Walker. I would think he wanted to get back up front just to get a little payback on the 70, because he got absolutely door slammed by that 70 of Scott Eckridge, and that spun the 08 of Jamie Walker, and that's probably why he's so slow right now, or at least slower than he was before the halfway point. Whenever he got into trouble for the first time, it just kind of slowed his car up. I guess after you spin a couple times, it does a number to your car. But we got 4 laps to go. That lead is back to 1 second. So Scott Eckridge, he's in line for his first win. He's racing really good, Brian.
Yeah, I want to just take a chance to say the 4 championship contenders coming into tonight are sitting 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They are bumper to bumper on the racetrack, and Dan Murray is in the 4th position behind Rhett McBride and Jamie Walker, so he's going to give up a handful of points to those guys, but he is going to maintain on Tim Matthews. Tim Matthews was the closest to him coming into tonight. So for these 4 drivers, the cream continues to rise to the top. You get to the end of this race, we talked about how Tim Matthews was struggling. White flag is about to come out, though, but these guys are going to race it to the final race here for the championship.
Half a mile to go for Scott Eckridge, diving it down into turn 1. The lap cars will not be a factor. Scott Eckridge in that 70 hadn't led till the halfway point. He's up there now, and he's got a good chance at winning it. Diving it down into turn 3 through turn 4. Scott Eckridge in that 70 truck is batting 1,000 in the United Sim Racing Series.
Checkered flag for Scott Eckridge. Rhett McBride brings it home 2nd. Jamie Walker is 3rd. Dan Murray is 4th. And Tim Matthews rounds out the top 5. Incredible race for all of those drivers. What a way to debut here for Scott Eckridge, taking home the victory in his first start. That is exactly how you want to start off your tenure in a new league. You want to go out there and show them you're a contender for the championship. You want to show them you're a contender for wins. And when they get into their regular season here in a couple of weeks, I definitely think you're going to have to look at him as a threat for the wins and the championship, as he's getting ready to come around to the start-finish line and do a celebratory burnout for his first victory here at the Five Flags Speedway. We're going to take an opportunity to step away. When we come back, we'll have your top 3 finishers, and we'll have our full field rundown. Stay tuned. You won't miss a thing. Welcome back here at the Five Flags Speedway. We are getting ready to catch our top three finishers. Going to take a chance real quick to do the full field rundown. Of course, you saw Scott Eckrich was your race winner. He took home a very impressive victory in his very first start here in the United Sim Racing League. Rhett McBride finished in the second position. Jamie Walker finishes third. Dan Murray is fourth. And rounding out the top five is Tim Matthews.
Yeah, Aaron Bennett, he led early, but he fell back after making a mistake and spinning it coming off, I believe, turn 4, so he's going to come home in the 6th position. Cody Gibson, Greg Mall, Ryan Keese, he led first part of the race. George Hendricks, Steve Ritter, and Chris Baines and Donald C. William round out your 13-car field. Well, we're going to go ahead and talk to a few of your drivers. We're going to start off with the 3rd position finisher of Jamie Walker. I've caught up with him down on pit road. Jamie, you had a very fast car there the first part of the race. Are you kind of disappointed with your run? Or are you happy? You were able to gain some points on Dan Murray.
Well, early on, I felt I had this race in the bag, and of course things happen, and I end up getting the short end of the stick. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed in myself.
Yeah, man, I would say so. We saw you the first you spun it. You just after halfway. Excuse me, I'm gathering my thoughts. Just after halfway, we saw you spin it, and you didn't get any damage. But then we saw, or excuse me, you collided with. I am so jumbled up. We've had some technical problems here, but before Rhett McBride, he kind of hit you there on the front straightaway, racing for the lead. What was your impression of that? Was it him just getting loose, or was it him being too aggressive?
No, that was just good hard racing there. He said he got loose up there up against the wall and just barely tapped me and sent me around. But I'm not mad at him about that. That's like I said, it was just hard racing there.
All right, second question. The 70 of Scott Eckridge, when he door slammed you, what's your impression on that?
I'm sure we both got our sides to it. I'm sure I pinched him down, and whatever. I say it came up just a little bit, but it's hearsay. It's racing. I guess I just let it go for now and try again next week.
Well, you know what? Next week you're going to be fighting for that championship. No matter what, really, it's not that big of a points lead between you, Dan Murray, the rest of these guys. We wish you luck there at the championship weekend next week in Michigan. Jamie, is there anybody you want to thank?
I want to thank you guys first of all. Of course, my Mountain Dew guys. They've been helping me out this season, and it's just been an awesome feeling with this truck.
That is your 3rd place finisher, Jamie Walker. Now, I believe, Brian, you've caught up with our 2nd place driver, Rhett McBride.
Yeah, I've caught up with another one of the championship contenders coming into tonight's race, the number 4 of Rhett McBride. And Rhett, you had a very impressive race. I want to start off by just going over the accident that happened between you and Jamie Walker around the halfway point. What happened there? Was that just hard racing? Did you get a little loose? What happened there?
Yeah, just it was just hard racing. Jamie got up under me getting into 3, and I moved up to give him the spot because there wasn't. If I didn't move up, we were gonna, it was gonna be bad. So when I got up on the outside, I hadn't been used to running that high of a line coming off, and it just over rotated coming off, and it was my fault. It just, like I said, it just over rotated on the exit, and I hooked him in the rear quarter. I hate it for him, but short track racing, that's sometimes that kind of stuff happens, and hate it happened to Jamie because I think he probably had. Well, I'm sure he did. He was the fastest car all night. I was hoping first tire run, I was thinking maybe I'd sit back and let him wear his stuff out, and he just never fell off. So, after that, I just kind of decided to take what I can get, and I hated that happened. But it's nothing intentional. It was just good hard racing, and that's about it with that.
Yeah, well, fortunately, both of you were able to recover and get good finishes. I know for Jamie, it wasn't what he was looking for, and I'm sure second place isn't what you were looking for either. But coming into tonight, you were 18 points behind Dan Murray. We don't have the official standings yet, but you are going to gain a handful of points on him. Going into Michigan next week in the season finale, how do you feel about your chances at possibly coming home with the championship?
Well, I love Michigan. I love to race that track, and Dan's fast pretty much everywhere we go. So, I'm just looking to have a good race with Dan. Fight it out and keep it clean and just see who's on top after it's all said and done.
All right, well, real quick before we let you go, just want to give you an opportunity to say thank you to any of your sponsors and hello to any friends or family that might be watching. Who makes it happen for you, Rhett?
Yeah, I want to thank Sim Experience, makers of the AccuForce Pro wheel. I want to thank my team, Steel Horse Racing. I want to say congratulations to my newest teammate, Scott Eckert, who just got his first win here in his first race, I believe. So that's pretty impressive. And just want to let Laura know we're thinking about her, and hope she gets back to full steam soon. Keep fighting, Laura, and we'll see you back at the track soon.
And we all feel the same way. We hope to see her make a full and speedy recovery. And thank you for that, Rhett. Congratulations on your good finish tonight, and good luck next week in the season finale at Michigan. That was Rhett McBride. He finished second here tonight at Five Flag Speedway. And Gabe, I believe you have caught up with the race winner here tonight down in Gatorade Victory Lane.
Oh yes, Brian, down here in Gatorade Victory Lane. Like I said, as you cross the stripe, you are batting 1,000 for United Sim Racing. You just joined the Steel Horse Racing group, and as you came across the line, you scored your first win. Scott, what's your emotions coming out of tonight?
It was a total surprise, to be honest with you. I did not have much practice here. Came in 5 minutes before the race started, and I don't have a lot of laps on this track in general. I was just focusing on bringing it home tonight, and didn't see that one coming.
No, I don't think anybody else did really, because we saw the 08. He led pretty much the entire first half of the race. We saw you get out front early from not pitting, and we saw you fall back afterwards. Excuse me, you took 2 tires, but we saw you fall back afterwards. At some point with about 30 laps to go, we saw you get up there and you were so fast. What changed between then and there?
Well, that first pit stall, I had a little bit of a communication failure with the old crew chief there and didn't take any tires, so that doomed me on that run. But I was just learning, following anybody that was faster than me, trying to mimic their line, and trying to improve on it and see what I could get out of it.
All right, Scott. Now that you've got your first win, are you going to be running the USR series full time?
I'll have to give it a big consideration here. I think I might have to open up a spot on Saturday night to race this.
Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing you out there, Scott. Who got you in victory lane tonight? It's a very special win for you. Who do you got to thank?
I just like to thank my team, Steel Horse Racing. I'm a new hire over there, so I'm just glad to bring one home for them tonight.
I know the Steel Horse guys are very proud of you. They got a very big prestige here in iRacing and hosted sessions and leagues. Scott, I know you're very proud to be part of that group.
Certainly.
All right, Scott Eckridge, your winner tonight here at Five Flag Speedway. Congratulations, Scott. We're going to go ahead and let you celebrate with the team and everybody and that crew chief who you had a little miscommunication with.
Thank you.
Scott Eckert, your winner here tonight. Brian, great racing here. We saw good, clean racing, side-by-side racing, and leaders taking each other out. What more could you want?
I mean, it was everything you would expect at a short track. You see a lot of hard racing side by side. You saw some beating and banging. You saw the leaders wreck. It's exactly what you expect when you go to a short track. It was just a typical Saturday night shootout, and it was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to be a part of, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to join you in the broadcast booth here tonight, and they put on a great show, and I'm sure they're going to do the same thing next week at Michigan. The 4 championship contenders are going to have their work cut out for them. Dan Murray, as we heard Rhett McBride say, he's fast pretty much everywhere you go. He's going to be fast again next week at Michigan, so they're going to have their work cut out for him if they're going to take this thing away from him.
Brian, one thing I noticed, no matter how much these guys beat up on each other, they weren't really mad at each other. Frustrated? Yeah. I mean, look at the 08 of Jamie Walker. He won a race which he truthfully should have won easily, but even after he got taken out for the second time, he was it's basically a racing incident in his words, and it's very respectful coming from him, especially after a loss, that big.
Well, I think all of these guys understand when you come to a short track, beating and banging, wrecks, that kind of stuff, it's going to happen. That's just how this type of racing goes. You expect it when you get here. You don't expect any less. You expect that you're going to have some beating and banging, and you expect that you might end up getting taken out by somebody, and that's exactly what happened here tonight. And I think all these drivers knew it coming into tonight, so the tensions weren't going to be as high for the simple fact of that. I was a little surprised that Jamie wasn't a little bit more upset towards the end of the race, though, because that was not only an incident that cost him the win, but it could have cost him what could end up being the championship. We could look back at that next week and say, you know, if he had won this race, he would have won the championship. And that's the only thing that makes me wonder, should he have been a little bit more upset about that and maybe been a little bit more aggressive at the end of the race?
Yeah, that's one thing, like you said, we're going to look back on next week in the championship. And that's, it's all about points, in a tie, even if a tie. How many wins do you have? It's all about points. Just 1 point can win you a championship, Brian. And as the lights get ready to flicker out here at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, Brian, I'd like to thank you for coming on late and myself. It was kind of a late deal. Brian, it was great working with you tonight.
Yeah, same to you. This was a lot of fun. It was a short notice thing, but we put it together, and it might have been a little rough around the edges, but we had a lot of fun. We did the job, and these guys put on a great show. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to doing this again with you.
Yep, we had a little technical difficulties early in the race, but our great producer Cisco Scaramuza solved them, and we were able to see a great finish here. And that finish involved that 70th Scott Eckridge. So congratulations to that 70 team and all the Steelhorse Racing guys, including Rhett McBride. Jamie Walker finishes third. Dan Murray, your championship leader, in fourth. Tim Matthews in fifth. Congratulations to all the winners, and we're going to roll on to Michigan next week. Well, as we get ready to end the broadcast, Brian, yet again, I'd like to thank you, and join us again next week on LSRTV.